My parents forced me to give up the keys to my house. Your sister is homeless after her divorce. She needs it more than you, my mother said. My father added, it's for family, don't be selfish. They even pushed a crudely written eviction notice across my table. But when my lawyer sent a certified letter, their smug grins collapsed as they realized. What if the very people who were supposed to love and protect you decided to orchestrate an elaborate scheme to steal your entire life's work, your sanctuary, your home? That's not a hypothetical question for me. It's the exact moment my family declared war. Just moments before, the late afternoon sun had spilled through my brand new bay windows, bathing the reclaimed wood floors I'd painstakingly refinished over 3 long weekends, in a soft, golden glow. This wasn't just a house. After 5 brutal years of 60-hour workweeks as a tech consultant, this was Eleanor's dream, my sanctuary, painstakingly built, piece by meaningful piece. Every detail, from the antique brass handles I'd sourced from a dusty shop to the hand-painted kitchen tiles, whispered my story. Then, a sharp, unwelcome rap at the door shattered that fragile peace. I opened it to find them all. My entire family, a suffocating, unexpected crowd on my front porch. My mother, Joyce, her lips pressed into that familiar thin, disapproving line. My father, Walter, hovering awkwardly behind her, as always. And my sister, Phoebe, dabbing dramatically at mascara-streaked cheeks while Chloe and Leo, her 2 kids, fidgeted restlessly, radiating boredom. Well, Joyce pushed past me into the foyer without a shred of hesitation. Aren't you going to invite us in? The others surged forward, a wave breaking through a dam I didn't even realize I'd built. I hadn't seen them in months, not since the housewarming party where Joyce had critiqued my paint colors as a bit ambitious for someone like you. I felt myself automatically fall into my lifelong role, the peacekeeper. I'll make tea, I offered, a reflex. Don't bother, Joyce declared, already settling onto my carefully chosen cream sectional. This won't take long. Phoebe let out a theatrical sob, truly leaning into the performance. Marcus left me. He just left. Cleaned out our accounts and everything. I knew, deep down, that wasn't true. Marcus was many things, but a thief wasn't one of them. Still, before I could even start to murmur, and I'm so sorry, Joyce cut in, cold and unwavering. Your sister needs your house. I blinked. What? She's homeless, Walter added, as if that explained everything. The kids need stability. But this is my house, I heard myself say, the absurdity of having to state something so obvious, making my voice feel small. I just finished renovating. Oh, the renovations. Joyce waved a dismissive hand. Always with the renovations. Your sister has actual problems. Real ones. You can just rent somewhere else. You're single. You don't need all this space. Chloe tugged at my sleeve, her eyes wide. Andy, Eleanor? Mommy says we're going to live in your pretty house. Nobody's living in my house, I said, my voice firm despite the tremor starting in my hands. I can help Phoebe look for apartments. Don't be selfish, Walter interrupted, his voice dropping to that disappointed tone I'd heard my entire life. This is family. Family helps family. I have helped. The words burst out before I could stop them. I've always helped. Who paid for Phoebe's essential oils business last year? Who covered Mom's cruise when her credit card was maxed out? That was different, Phoebe sniffled, suddenly less distraught. Those were just loans. This is about my children. Joyce stood, smoothing her designer blouse, the one I knew she couldn't actually afford. A chill ran down my spine. We knew you might be difficult about this, so we came prepared. Walter reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a folded paper. He laid it on my dining table, the table I'd restored myself over countless weekends. We've prepared an eviction notice, he said, not quite meeting my eyes. To make it official, you have 30 days. My fingers felt numb as I picked up the paper. It was clearly printed from some online template, full of typos and missing crucial legal information. But the intent behind it, the sheer audacity of what they were trying to do, made my chest tighten with a suffocating anger. This isn't legal. I managed, my voice raspy. You can't evict me from a house I own. Don't be dramatic, Joyce sighed, as if I were overreacting to a minor inconvenience. We're not evicting you. We're just redistributing family resources to where they're needed most. Phoebe has children. Yeah. Phoebe chimed in, suddenly looking less tearful, almost excited. And your guest room is bigger than my old master bedroom. I stared at them. Joyce's expectant face, Walter's studied avoidance, Phoebe's growing excitement as she pointed out to Chloe and Leo where their toys could go. They truly believed they could just take my house, my sanctuary, everything I'd worked for. You need to leave, I said quietly, the words barely a whisper. Eleanor, Walter started, a hint of his old authority returning. Now, my voice was stronger, rising with a sudden, unfamiliar power. Get out of my house. Well, Joyce gathered her designer purse with a huff. I see you need time to process this. We'll give you a day to come to your senses, but remember, 30 days. She tapped the pathetic paper on the table. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. They filed out. Phoebe paused in the doorway. I was thinking of painting the living room blue, she mused, as if I hadn't just ordered them to leave. This beige is so boring. I closed the door behind them and leaned against it, my legs barely holding me up. Through the window, I watched them get into their cars, already discussing my house as if it were theirs, their property. The eviction notice sat on my dining table like a declaration of war. I stared at that eviction notice until the words blurred. My phone buzzed, 3 texts from Phoebe about paint samples and whether I'd be leaving the curtains. I flipped it face down on the table and walked to my home office. The filing cabinet in the corner held more than just work contracts. I pulled out a thick manila folder, my hand steady now. Inside was every receipt, every bank transfer, every hastily scribbled, "I owe you" from the past decade. I'd kept them out of habit, the same attention to detail that made me good at my job. My friend Maya's voice came through on the first ring. Girl, you sound terrible. What happened? I told her everything, my voice cracking only once. They did what? Maya's outrage was a comforting blanket. Please tell me you're not actually considering it. Of course not. But, no buts, she cut me off. Remember last Christmas when Phoebe borrowed your car and returned it with an empty tank and a dented fender? Or when your mom guilt-tripped you into paying for their vacation because your father worked so hard? I spread the papers across my desk. I have records of everything they borrowed. Never paid back a cent. How much? I did a quick mental calculation. Over $20,000. Jesus, Eleanor. I know. I picked up a note in Phoebe's loopy handwriting. I owe you $3,000 for business startup. Thanks, sis. That was for her essential oils thing. She sold everything at a loss and blamed the market. And now they want your house? Maya's voice hardened. Hell no. You need a lawyer. They're family. Family doesn't try to steal your house. What's next? Your kidney? My phone buzzed again. A text from Joyce. Phoebe's crying because you're being so difficult. Think of the children. The children? I said to Maya. They keep using Chloe and Leo as leverage. You know what's best for those kids? Seeing their mother face consequences for once. Has anyone even verified Marcus left her penniless? I hesitated. No, they just said, call Marcus. Maya finished for me. I'll watch you. Keys clicked on Maya's end. He's still connected to my cousin on Facebook. Here we go. Recent post. Finalizing divorce settlement. Trying to be fair despite everything. Doesn't sound like someone who cleaned out the accounts. Another buzz. Walter, your mother's very upset. You're tearing this family apart. I looked at the stack of IOUs. They really think I'll cave. Because you always have, Maya said gently. Remember when you got that bonus last year? First thing you did was pay off Phoebe's credit card debt. She said she needed formula for Leo. Leo, who I saw drinking regular milk at your housewarming. Right, I said, a flicker of cold clarity. Maya, about that lawyer, My doorbell rang. Through the security camera, I saw Phoebe holding up paint swatches to my exterior walls. "I'm not answering that," I said. "Good. Now, about that lawyer. Arthur," I said suddenly. "Remember that law firm I helped last year, the cyber attack? The one where you pulled 3 all-nighters to save their entire system?" "Oh, Mr. Harrison?" "Yeah. Their senior partner, Arthur, he gave me his personal number. Said, if I ever needed anything, call him." Phoebe was now taking photos of my garden, probably planning changes to my garden, where I'd spent countless weekends creating a butterfly sanctuary. "They've always treated me like their personal ATM," I said, my voice hardening. "But this trying to take my home, acting like I owe it to them. So, what are you going to do about it?" Maya prompted. I picked up the pathetic excuse for an eviction notice, then looked at my folder of evidence. A decade of financial abuse, documented in black and white. I'm going to show them exactly who they're dealing with. That's my girl. After hanging up, I sent a brief email to Arthur's office, attaching scans of the eviction notice and a few choice IOUs. His response came within minutes. "In meetings all day, but this is outrageous. Call my cell at 5 p.m. sharp. We'll fix this." My phone buzzed again. A family group text from Joyce. "Dinner tomorrow to discuss Eleanor's move-out timeline. 6 p.m. sharp. Don't be late." I didn't respond. Instead, I made myself coffee and started scanning every document, every message, every manipulative text. By the time 5 p.m. rolled around, I had a complete digital record of their exploitation. The eviction notice still sat on my table, a symbol of their ultimate entitlement. They thought it was their trump card. They had no idea it was about to become mine. My phone showed 4:59 p.m. I picked it up, Arthur's number ready. Time to show my family what happens when you push too far. Arthur's voice was exactly as I remembered, calm, precise, with an undercurrent of steel. "Eleanor, I've been reviewing what you sent. Tell me everything." I laid it all out chronologically, starting with their ambush and ending with Phoebe's impromptu exterior design consultation. Arthur listened without interrupting, though I heard his pen scratching notes. "Let me be clear," he said when I finished. "They presented you with a fake eviction notice for a property you own outright?" "Yes." "They found some template online. And my sister is claiming her ex-husband left her destitute. That's what they say." "Interesting." More scratching. "Because I just had my assistant do some preliminary research. Your sister's ex-husband filed all his divorce paperwork properly. The settlement includes a substantial alimony payment and half their marital assets." I sat up straighter. "So, she's not homeless?" "No, unless she's managed to burn through a considerable sum in record time." He paused. "Now, about these loans, I have everything documented. Dates, amounts, their promises to repay, which they never did. Not a cent. And the total is $23,412 plus interest if we're counting that." Arthur let out a low whistle. "We're definitely counting that. Eleanor, do you know why I took your call immediately? Because I helped with a cyber attack?" "Partially, but mainly because I remember how you handled that crisis. Methodical, thorough, kept perfect records. I see that wasn't a one-off trait." I glanced at my meticulously organized folder. I just like things documented. That attention to detail is about to pay off. Here's what we're going to do. For the next 20 minutes, Arthur outlined his strategy. With each point, I felt my spine straightening, my confidence growing. "I'll have the first draft ready tomorrow," he said. "But Eleanor, I need you to do something important tonight." "What's that?" "Nothing. Don't respond to their messages. Don't attend their dinner. Don't engage at all." "Can you do that?" My phone buzzed with another text from Joyce. "Your silence is very immature." "Yes," I said firmly. "I can do that." "Good. Because tomorrow, we're going to teach them about consequences." After hanging up, I ordered takeout and watched my phone light up with increasingly demanding messages. "Phoebe, I need your paint samples by tomorrow." "Joyce, this behavior is exactly why we worry about your judgment." "Walter, your mother can't sleep because of this." Around midnight, My Aunt Sarah called. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was predictably guilt-laden. Eleanor, honey, everyone's so worried. Just come to dinner tomorrow, and we can work this out like family. I deleted it. The next morning, Arthur's email arrived exactly at 9 a.m. The attached letter was a masterpiece of legal precision. It addressed Joyce, Walter, and Phoebe by their full legal names. It referenced specific laws they'd violated. It detailed every loan with dates and amounts, including calculated interest. The final paragraph was particularly satisfying. Furthermore, my client demands immediate cessation of all harassment, trespassing attempts, and unauthorized contact. Any future unauthorized visits to her property will result in immediate legal action. You have 10 business days to propose a reasonable repayment schedule for the outstanding debt of $23,412, plus applicable interest. Failure to respond will result in formal legal proceedings. I read it 3 times, my smile growing wider with each pass. One more thing, Arthur said when I called to approve it. I had my investigator do some digging. Want to know what your sister spent her divorce settlement on? Tell me. A 2-week spa retreat in Arizona. First-class flights. She got back 3 days before showing up at your door. I thought about her tears, her claims of destitution. Send the letter. Already done. Certified mail. Delivery confirmation required. They should receive it, he paused. Right about now, actually. I imagined their faces as they read it. Joyce's righteous indignation crumbling. Walter's false confidence evaporating. Phoebe's paint swatches dropping from her manicured fingers. Arthur, I said, a wave of profound relief washing over me. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is just the beginning. They're not going to take this well. I know. Are you ready for that? I looked around my beautiful home, my sanctuary that I'd built through years of hard work. Every inch of it earned, every detail chosen with care. Yes, I said. I'm ready. Good. Keep your phone on. The fireworks should start any minute now. As if on cue, my phone started buzzing. The war had begun. The first call came exactly 17 minutes after Arthur's letter would have arrived. My mother, Joyce. I let it ring. Then my father, Walter. Ignored. Phoebe. Straight to voicemail. They cycled through like this for an hour before my Aunt Sarah's number appeared. Unlike the others, Sarah had always been somewhat reasonable. I picked up. Hello. Her voice was hushed, conspiratorial. Eleanor, I'm at your parents' house. You need to know what's happening. I can imagine. No, you really can't. A door slammed in the background. Your mother is absolutely apoplectic. I've never seen her like this. She's been pacing the living room for 30 minutes, waving that letter around like a weapon. Despite everything, I felt a flutter of deep satisfaction. What about Dad? He looks like he's seen a ghost. Keeps muttering about his retirement fund. A pause. Eleanor, the amount in that letter, is it accurate? Down to the last penny. I have records of everything. Your mother's claiming you made it all up, of course. Of course she is. I opened my laptop, where I'd organized all the evidence. Would she like to explain the cruise tickets I paid for? Or the check I wrote for Dad's golf club membership? Oh, and Sarah? Phoebe just got back from a luxury spa retreat in Arizona. First class all the way. What? Sarah's whisper turned sharp. But she told everyone Marcus left her penniless. She lied, like she always does. Through the phone, I heard a crash, followed by Joyce's voice, distant but piercing. This is extortion. My own daughter. Hold on, Sarah murmured. More background noise. Your mother just threw her favorite vase at the wall. The one you bought her last Christmas. Fitting. Phoebe's here now, too. She's, oh my. Sarah's voice dropped even lower. She's having what I can only describe as a tantrum, screaming about her children's future. Your mother's encouraging it. And Dad's still doing his ghost impression. Oh, wait. He's finally speaking. He's asking your mother how they're going to pay it back. She's not taking that well at all. I heard Joyce's distant shriek. Pay it back? Pay it back? She's our daughter. She owes us. Eleanor, Sarah said, her voice strained. I should tell you, they're talking about calling their own lawyer. Good. They should. You're not worried? Arthur already checked. They can't afford any lawyer who could challenge this. More background chaos, then Sarah's urgent whisper. Phoebe's calling Marcus. Oh dear. She's demanding more money from him to fight this injustice. He's laughing at her. I can't hear him laughing through the phone. I couldn't help but smile. Marcus had put up with Phoebe's drama for years. He probably felt incredibly vindicated. Your mother's now saying she'll sell her jewelry collection, Sarah reported. The one I helped her pick out. Sure. Good idea. Sarah hesitated. Eleanor, I know they've always favored Phoebe. I know they've taken advantage. But this is nuclear. No, Aunt Sarah. This is consequences. A door slammed in the background, followed by more shouting. Sarah sighed. Phoebe just announced she's going to drive to your house. Your mother's getting her car keys, too. Perfect. Arthur already filed a harassment warning with the police. If they show up, they'll be arrested for trespassing. You've really thought this through. I learned from the best. They taught me all about planning and manipulation. I just got better at it than they expected. Another crash. More screaming. Sarah's voice turned urgent. I have to go. Your mother's talking about calling every relative in the family directory. Brace yourself. Thanks for the warning. After hanging up, I sent a quick text to Arthur. They received the letter. Reaction exactly as expected. Aunt Sarah reports chaos. His response was immediate. Good. Let them spiral. Every inappropriate reaction strengthens our position. My phone started buzzing again. Distant relatives I hadn't spoken to in years. Probably already getting Joyce's distorted version of events. I switched it to silent and made myself tea in my peaceful kitchen. A text from Maya. Just got a crazy call from your mom. Told her I've watched you bail them out for years and hung up. You okay? I looked out my window just in time to see Joyce's car screech to a halt outside. Phoebe's right behind it. They looked up at my house, faces twisted with rage. I calmly picked up my phone and dialed 911. Hello. Yes, I'd like to report trespassers at my property. There's already a harassment warning filed. Through the window, I watched Joyce's face change as police sirens wailed in the distance. For the first time in my life, I saw real fear in her eyes. The tea in my hand was still hot, still perfect, just like my victory. The police were surprisingly understanding. They escorted Joyce and Phoebe off my property with a formal warning while I watched through my security cameras. The officer's body language said everything. They'd seen this type of family drama before. My phone buzzed with a text from Officer Miller, who'd taken my statement. Warning officially logged. Call immediately if they return. Then came the emotional artillery. First, the voicemails. Joyce's voice trembling with practiced devastation. How could you do this to your own mother after everything we've sacrificed for you? Phoebe, somehow crying and screaming simultaneously. My children will be traumatized. Is that what you want, to traumatize innocent children? Walter, attempting his stern authority voice but sounding genuinely scared. This isn't how we raised you. Call off this lawyer nonsense immediately. Then the flying monkeys arrived. Aunt Linda called first. Eleanor, sweetie, this has all gone too far. Your mother is beside herself. Is she beside herself about the $23,000 she owes me? Money isn't everything. This is family. Funny how that argument only works in their favor. She gasped. You've changed. You've become cold. No, I've become clear-sighted. There's a difference. Next came the social media assault. Phoebe posted a heavily filtered photo of herself with Chloe and Leo, all wearing their most miserable expressions. The caption was a masterpiece of manipulation. Sometimes the people who hurt you most are the ones you trusted most. My children and I are facing homelessness because of family betrayal. Prayer warriors needed. The comments flooded in. OMG girl, you're so strong. What kind of monster would do this to children? Family should come first. I screenshot everything and sent it to Arthur. His response, perfect. Every post strengthens our harassment case.
Don't respond.
Joyce tried a new approach, sending an email that was clearly meant to be forwarded to every relative. My dearest daughter, my heart breaks as I write this. Your father and I have always supported your independence, but this betrayal. We only wanted to help your sister in her time of need. Now you're demanding money we don't have, threatening us with lawyers. Where did we go wrong in raising you? What happened to the sweet little girl who used to bake cookies with me? I forwarded it to Maya, who replied, pretty sure that sweet little girl was actually Phoebe. You were the one they made do their taxes. The truth of that hit home. I'd never baked cookies with my mother. I'd been too busy helping my father with household accounts or covering Phoebe's bounce checks. My phone lit up with a call from an unknown number. It was Marcus, Phoebe's ex-husband. Eleanor, finally got your number from my lawyer. Listen, Phoebe's been calling me nonstop, demanding more money to fight your evil schemes. Thought you should know she got over $100,000 in the settlement last month. Thanks, Marcus. I had a feeling she wasn't exactly destitute. She blew through half of it at some spa resort. Now she's playing victim again.
He paused.
For what it's worth, I'm glad someone's finally standing up to them. After we hung up, I checked my email. 3 messages from Walter, each with increasingly desperate subject lines. We need to talk. Your mother can't sleep. Our retirement fund. I opened the last one. Eleanor, the amount your lawyer is demanding would wipe out our savings. Please be reasonable. What about our retirement? What about your sister's children? Think about the family's future. I thought about my own future. The one they tried to steal. My house, my sanctuary, my financial security. The doorbell rang. Through the camera, I saw Aunt Sarah holding a paper bag. I brought wine, she said when I opened the door, and information. Over glasses of Cabernet, she filled me in. Joyce had called every relative who might have money to lend them. No takers. Walter was looking into reverse mortgages. And Phoebe, she took a long sip. Phoebe's telling everyone she's going to sue you for emotional distress. Distress. Arthur will. Love that. Eleanor, Sarah set down her glass. I owe you an apology. All these years, I watched them take advantage of you. I never said anything. You're saying something now. Because you're saying something now. She smiled sadly. They never thought you'd fight back. That was their biggest mistake. My phone buzzed again. Another tearful voicemail from Joyce. I deleted it without listening. They still think they can break me, I said. Sarah reached for the wine bottle. Then they clearly don't know you at all. As we poured second glasses, my security system pinged. Phoebe was driving past again, slowly photographing my house. I picked up my phone to call the police again. The war of attrition was on, but this time, I wasn't the one being worn down. Arthur's call came early Monday morning. They've hired a lawyer, if you can call him that. How bad? He sent me a rambling email about family obligations and moral duties. Clearly fresh out of law school. Want to hear the best part? Tell me. He's demanding we drop everything in exchange for, quote, a sincere apology and future considerations. I laughed. Future considerations. I've sent back a formal response. They have until Friday to present a reasonable repayment plan or we file suit.
My doorbell rang.
Through the camera, I saw Phoebe standing there with Chloe and Leo. Arthur, I have to go. Phoebe's here with the kids. Record everything. I activated my phone's recording app and opened the door. Kids. Phoebe announced dramatically. Say goodbye to Auntie Eleanor's house. The house she won't share with you, even though you're homeless. Chloe looked confused. But Mom, aren't we staying at Grandma's? Phoebe's face tightened. Chloe, what did I tell you about speaking out of turn? Now cry for Auntie Eleanor. Show her how sad you are. That's enough. I kept my voice level. You're trespassing again. The police have already. The police. Phoebe shrieked, pulling out her phone. Perfect. Film this, kids. Show everyone how mean Auntie Eleanor calls the police on children. I pressed my emergency contact. Officer Miller answered immediately. Miss Watts, another incident. Using her children as props this time. Units are already nearby. Hold tight. Phoebe was live streaming now, tears flowing perfectly. My heartless sister is threatening me with police. My babies are traumatized. Leo tugged her sleeve. Mom, I need to pee. Not now. Mommy's making content. Sirens wailed in the distance. Phoebe's face lit up with a perverse excitement. Yes, everyone, watch. See how they persecute a single mother. 2 police cars pulled up. Officer Miller stepped out, looking tired. Miss Phoebe, we've discussed this. There's an active harassment warning. I'm just visiting family. With a live stream, he nodded at her phone. This is your final warning. Next time means arrests. And your children are being used as emotional weapons, he finished firmly. Don't make us call child services. That threat landed. Phoebe's stream cut off instantly. Come on, kids. Your aunt clearly hates you. But Mom, Chloe protested. You said we were just making a video to get money from. Phoebe yanked Chloe into the car. After they left, Officer Miller turned to me. We've documented everything. Your lawyer will want this footage. My phone buzzed. A text from Walter. Your mother's in bed with anxiety. Are you happy now? I showed Officer Miller. Add this to the harassment file already on it. By evening, Phoebe's failed live stream had morphed into a heavily edited social media post. Police called on innocent children. Swipe to see my baby's tears. Toxic family. Pray for us. Maya called. Girl, your sister's gone full melodrama queen. She started a GoFundMe for what? Legal fees to fight family betrayal. She's asking for $50,000. I forwarded this to Arthur, who replied, Perfect. Documenting attempted financial fraud. The next morning, Aunt Linda tried a new angle. Eleanor, your mother's talking about selling her wedding ring, the one your grandmother gave her. Is that what you want? What I want is the money they borrowed. Their family. They didn't think you'd actually expect it back. That's the problem. My security system pinged again. Joyce's car driving past slowly, then Walter's, then Phoebe's. A parade of guilt and intimidation. Arthur called. Their lawyer just tried to negotiate. Offered $5,000 and you'll love this. Suggested you give Phoebe the house as compensation for emotional damages. And you reminded him that harassment is a criminal offense.
Exactly.
He's now requesting a meeting. All parties present.
When?
Friday. My office. You ready? I looked at my phone. More texts, more voicemails, more flying monkeys deployed to wear me down. Then I looked around my beautiful home. Everything I'd worked for. More than ready. Good. Because they're desperate now, and desperate people do desperate things. As if on cue, Joyce's voice cut through the evening air. She was standing on the sidewalk with a megaphone. Eleanor, come out and face your family. Stop hiding behind lawyers. I called Officer Miller again, watching through my security cameras as Joyce continued her performance for the gathering neighbors. Friday couldn't come soon enough. Arthur's conference room felt like a courtroom. My parents and Phoebe sat across the massive oak table, their budget lawyer fidgeting with his tie. They'd brought Chloe and Leo again, a move Arthur had predicted and prepared for. First, Arthur said, his voice ringing with authority. The children need to wait outside with my assistant. This isn't appropriate for them. They're part of this. Phoebe protested, grabbing Chloe's hand. They're victims. They're props, Arthur corrected, his gaze unwavering. And if you continue using them this way, I'll be obligated to report it. After some theatrical resistance, Chloe and Leo were led out to the children's area Arthur had set up. Their relief was visible. Now, Arthur began, spreading documents across the table. Let's discuss the harassment first. Harassment. Joyce's voice hit that familiar high pitch. We're the ones being harassed with these ridiculous demands. Arthur clicked a remote. The wall screen lit up with a compilation. Phoebe's live stream, Joyce with the megaphone, their car circling my house, the social media posts, the GoFundMe page. Mr. Jenkins, Arthur addressed their lawyer, a young man who looked increasingly out of his depth. I assume you've advised your clients about the legal implications of these actions? The young lawyer tugged his tie again. We maintain these were attempts at family reconciliation. Interesting interpretation. Arthur played the clip of Phoebe coaching her children to cry on command. Walter shifted uncomfortably. We were desperate. You're trying to bankrupt us. No, I said, speaking for the first time, my voice steady. We're asking you to repay what you borrowed. Borrowed? Joyce laughed sharply. Family helps family. We never thought you'd be so petty as to keep track. Actually, Arthur pressed another button. Images filled the screen. Bank transfers, IOUs, emails promising repayment. Your daughter, Arthur continued, looking directly at Joyce, has documented everything. Every loan, every promise, every excuse. Their lawyer leaned forward, finally looking genuinely worried. Perhaps we could discuss a reasonable settlement. The time for negotiation was before the harassment campaign. Arthur cut in, his voice steely. Now, here are your options. He slid documents across the table. Option 1. You sign this agreement to repay the full amount with interest on a structured payment plan. You also sign this restraining order, agreeing to cease all contact unless initiated by Eleanor or my office. Or, Walter asked, his voice barely a whisper. Or we go to court, Arthur finished, where I'll present everything. The loans, the harassment, the attempted emotional exploitation of minors, the fraudulent GoFundMe, the false claims about Mr. Marcus's settlement. Shall I continue? Phoebe burst into tears. Real ones this time. This isn't fair. I'm your sister. Was I your sister when you tried to steal my house? We weren't stealing, Joyce protested. We were redistributing. Maria, their lawyer, interrupted, looking pained. Please stop talking. Arthur pushed the agreements closer. You have 10 minutes to decide. Court will be public record, by the way. Every loan, every lie, every manipulation, all available for everyone to see. Walter reached for the papers. Joyce slapped his hand away. Charles, don't you dare. She's bluffing. She wouldn't really. I have nothing to lose, I said quietly. Do you? The room fell silent. 10 minutes stretched like taffy. Finally, their lawyer whispered something to them. Walter picked up a pen with trembling fingers. This will ruin us, Joyce said, her voice breaking. Like trying to steal my house would have ruined me, I countered softly. One by one they signed. Joyce's signature was angry and sharp. Excellent, Arthur said. Now, about the restraining order. You're no longer my daughter. Joyce spat, signing that document too. I hope you're happy in your precious house, all alone. I'd rather be alone than exploited. Phoebe stood up, mascara running. My children will never forgive you. Your children, I replied, a small, knowing smile touching my lips, are outside playing happily with age-appropriate toys instead of being used as emotional weapons. Maybe think about that. They filed out, defeated and bitter. Through the conference room window, I watched Chloe and Leo reluctantly leave their games to join their mother. Their genuine smiles faded on cue. Well, Arthur said, gathering the signed documents. That went exactly as expected. Will they actually pay? They don't have a choice. The payments will be automatically deducted. If they default, we can place liens on their assets. He paused, looking at me carefully. Are you okay? I watched my family disappear into the elevator. Joyce's rigid back, Walter's slumped shoulders, Phoebe's dramatic sniffles. I searched for the word. Free? Arthur offered. Freedom, I said, often comes at a price. They set the price, I replied. I just finally sent them the bill. Outside, the summer sun was bright and clean. I walked to my car alone, but for the first time in my life, alone felt like a choice rather than a punishment. The first automatic payment hit my account on schedule. The second, too. By the third, Joyce had canceled her country club membership and Walter had taken a part-time job at a hardware store. Maya brought wine to celebrate. Have you seen Phoebe's latest posts? I'm blocked. She's selling her designer bags. Claims she's embracing minimalism. Maya scrolled through her phone. Oh, And she's working at that boutique in the mall, the one she used to say was beneath her.
My doorbell rang.
Through the camera, I saw Aunt Sarah with a small package. These arrived at my house, she said, handing me a bundle of letters. They're trying to get around the restraining order. I recognized Joyce's handwriting. Walter's. Phoebe's. Have you read them? Didn't need to. Joyce called to make sure I knew what they said. More guilt, more accusations. She's telling everyone you've destroyed the family. And what do you tell her? That she destroyed it herself, long before you fought back. My phone buzzed. A text from Officer Miller. Thought you should know your sister's been warned about driving past her house again. They're still trying, I told Sarah. Of course they are. But look at you. Renovating your garden, starting that coding program for girls, living your life. That's what really drives them crazy. The payments are killing them, I said. Dad asked his sister Linda for a loan. She refused. Good. Let them learn about consequences. A car slowed outside. Phoebe again, right on schedule. But this time, Chloe was in the passenger seat, and she waved at me before her mother yanked her arm down. The kids miss you, Sarah said softly. I miss them, too, but they're better off without the drama. My security system pinged a notification from the front door camera. Someone had left flowers. Simple wildflowers. No card. Wasn't me, Sarah said, but she was smiling. That evening I taught my coding class. 20 girls, eager to learn. No hidden agendas or emotional manipulation. One of them, Lily, reminded me of myself at that age. Quiet, detail-oriented, determined. My mom says girls aren't good at computers, she told me after class. My mom used to say similar things, I replied. Want to know a secret? Moms aren't always right. At home, I found another email from Arthur. Your father called my office, asked if we could reduce the payments. I reminded him about the court alternative. He hung up. I clicked through my security cameras out of habit. No family members circling today. The street was quiet, my garden peaceful in the evening. Light. The butterfly bushes I'd planted were finally blooming. My phone lit up. A text from Marcus. Heads up. Phoebe's telling everyone she's writing a book about toxic family betrayal. Thought you'd want to know. I forwarded it to Arthur, who replied instantly. Let her try. Discovery would be fascinating. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Maya with takeout. Thought you might want company. Sarah's coming too. We sat in my kitchen, in my house that nobody could take from me. Maya raised her glass. To consequences. To boundaries, Sarah added. To peace, I said. Later, after they'd left, I found a small package on my porch. Inside was a familiar teacup, one I'd admired in Sarah's house years ago. The note read, for new memories. Some family we're born with, some we choose. Love, Sarah. I placed it carefully in my cabinet next to the coffee mug Lily had given me, decorated with badly drawn computer symbols. My phone buzzed one last time. Officer Miller, your sister's car just left the area.
Didn't stop this time.
Progress? Maybe. Or maybe they were just tired. Either way, I didn't need to know. Their lives weren't my responsibility anymore. I made tea in my new cup and sat in my garden. A butterfly landed on the flowers I had planted, its wings opening and closing slowly, at peace in its chosen spot. Inside, my house was quiet. Not the suffocating quiet of loneliness, but the peaceful quiet of sanctuary. Every room held traces of my new life. Student projects from my coding class, plants from Maya, Sarah's little gifts, photos of genuine smiles and real friendships. The automatic porch light clicked on, illuminating a small section of garden. In its glow, more butterflies gathered, drawn to the flowers I'd chosen, the space I'd created. My phone stayed silent. No drama, no demands, no guilt, just peace. And in the end, that was the sweetest revenge of all. That initial peace was a fragile thing, like a butterfly resting on a thorny bush. It felt earned, yes, but also a little lonely. The silence in my house, once a blessed sanctuary, sometimes echoed with the ghosts of what I thought family should be. My phone, once a chaotic symphony of demands and guilt trips, now only buzzed with messages from Maya and Sarah and the occasional update from Arthur's office. It was better, so much better, but there was still a hollow space where a different kind of family, a loving, supportive kind, might have been. The automatic payments hit their accounts like clockwork. Arthur had set it up impeccably. Every month, a chunk of change vanished from their funds, slowly but surely eating away at what they considered theirs. Maya would text me updates she gleaned from the grapevine, or from Phoebe's increasingly unhinged social media posts. Joyce, bless her heart, had tried to fight the system. Apparently, she'd stormed her bank, demanding to know why her money was being stolen from her account. The bank, of course, calmly pointed her to the signed legal agreement. That must have been a satisfying phone call for Arthur to take. Walter, I heard, had initially tried to hide the severity of their financial situation from Joyce, but the numbers didn't lie. His golf club membership was the first casualty, followed by Joyce's beloved country club. That's when the real panic set in for her. These weren't just expenses. They were status symbols, proof of the life she believed she deserved. And without them, well, who is she? Phoebe, naturally, was the most dramatic. Her GoFundMe was eventually taken down after Arthur sent a stern letter threatening legal action for financial fraud, complete with my evidence. The comment section, I heard, had become a war zone, half her prayer warriors turning on her when the truth started to leak out. She quickly pivoted, though. Her Toxic Family Betrayal book went from whispered threat to actual production. Maya, still connected to enough mutual friends to get snippets, would send me screenshots of Phoebe's new author Instagram page. It was full of heavily filtered selfies, often with Chloe and Leo looking bewildered beside her, captions about finding her voice and healing through sharing her truth. The initial chapters she posted online were so thinly veiled, so obviously about me, that even a casual reader would recognize the story. Arthur had a field day with it. He sent a preemptive cease and desist, detailing the exact legal consequences for defamation, libel, and breach of the existing non-disclosure clause implicitly agreed to when they signed the repayment plan. He highlighted the specific evidence we had, the recorded phone calls, the social media posts, the GoFundMe. I don't think she ever actually published it in print. The online excerpts quietly vanished. The extended family, as Sarah had predicted, turned into a mess of flying monkeys. Aunt Linda, after her initial phone call, started posting vague, passive-aggressive memes about forgiveness and unconditional love on Facebook, clearly aimed at me. Other relatives I barely knew sent me long, rambling emails about how family is forever and blood is thicker than water. My standard response, drafted with Arthur's help, was polite but firm. I'm always open to discussing mature, respectful relationships, but not under the duress of past financial exploitation or emotional manipulation. My boundaries are now legally protected. It was boring, but it worked. The emails dried up. Most of the family chose to believe Joyce's version of events. It was easier than confronting the uncomfortable truth. A few, like Sarah, truly stood by me, quietly offering support without asking for details. And a couple, to my surprise, reached out to apologize for not seeing what was happening sooner. That was a small, unexpected bomb. My little coding school, though, was thriving. Lily, the quiet girl who reminded me of myself, blossomed. She brought her friends. My classes filled up, and I started thinking about renting a larger space, maybe even hiring another instructor. There was a quiet satisfaction in building something purely for myself, something positive, untainted by the shadow of my past. It was hard work, but it was my hard work, and the rewards were tangible, not just for me, but for these eager young minds. One evening, about 6 months after the confrontation in Arthur's office, my security system pinged. It was Chloe, alone, standing nervously on my porch, holding a small, crumpled drawing. My heart leaped into my throat. I hadn't seen her or Leo since that disastrous live stream. I checked the cameras again. No Joyce, no Phoebe, no Walter. Just Chloe, looking small and vulnerable. I opened the door. "Auntie Eleanor," she whispered, her eyes wide.
I
"I made this for you." It was a crude drawing of a butterfly, its wings a riot of crayon colors. My heart ached. Chloe. I knelt down, trying to keep my voice steady. This is beautiful. Thank you. Mommy says you hate me, she blurted out, her bottom lip trembling. The words were a physical blow. Oh, sweetie, no. Never. I could never hate you. I glanced around, still paranoid. Is your mom around? She shook her head. Grandma dropped me off. She went shopping. She said to wait here. My stomach churned. Joyce using Chloe as a delivery service, completely disregarding the restraining order. It was manipulative, but also, how else would Chloe have gotten to me? Come in for a minute, I said, pulling her gently inside. Do you want some juice? While she sipped apple juice in my kitchen, telling me about school, my mind raced. I couldn't let Phoebe or Joyce use Chloe as a pawn. But I also couldn't just send her away. Chloe, I said gently, I love this drawing. Can I hang it up? She beamed. But it's important that your mommy and grandma know I can't have you over without them telling me first, okay? I struggled to explain it in child-friendly terms. Because sometimes grown-ups have arguments, and we need to follow rules to keep everyone safe. She looked confused. Then her face clouded. Mommy said you don't want to see us. That's not true. I miss you and Leo very much. This was tearing me apart. I needed to protect these kids, but also protect myself. Would you like to write me a letter sometimes? Or draw more pictures? She brightened. Really? Really? I found an envelope and a stamp. You can send them to my house. Just then, a car pulled up. Joyce's Mercedes. Chloe jumped up. Grandma's here. Joyce marched to the door, a plastic bag in her hand, her expression a mix of triumph and indignation. Eleanor, what are you doing with my granddaughter? She came to visit. And she just left, as you arranged. My voice was calm. You know the terms of the restraining order, Joyce. Using a child to circumvent it is a serious violation. If this happens again, I will have to notify the police and Arthur. Joyce bristled, her eyes narrowing. You wouldn't. Try me. She snatched Chloe's hand and practically dragged her to the car, muttering about heartless people and family values. Chloe looked back at me, a flicker of sadness in her eyes. I waved and she offered a small, tentative wave back. It was a tiny spark, but it was something. I called Arthur immediately. He was, predictably, furious at Joyce's blatant disregard. We need to send a very strong message, he said. He didn't press charges, not wanting to involve child services unless absolutely necessary, but he did send a revised, even more stringent warning to Joyce and Walter, explicitly detailing the penalties for using minors to violate the restraining order. He also suggested I consider a formal, supervised visitation process for Chloe and Leo through a legal third party, completely bypassing Joyce and Phoebe. The thought gave me pause. I miss them terribly, but the idea of navigating that emotional minefield again, even with supervision, filled me with dread. It was too soon. Months turned into a year. My coding school flourished, growing beyond my wildest dreams. I moved to a bigger space, hired 2 incredible instructors, and launched a scholarship program for underprivileged girls. My life was full, rich with purpose and genuine connections. Maya and Sarah were my rocks, always there for a glass of wine, a laugh, or a shoulder to cry on when the old hurts resurfaced. I even started dating again, cautiously, with a man who understood the importance of boundaries and didn't flinch at the mention of my family drama. He was kind, stable, and saw me, not just my past. The payments continued. I heard through Sarah that Walter had indeed sold off some investments, taking a hit on his retirement fund to keep up. Joyce had downgraded her car and was now coupon clipping, something Sarah found endlessly amusing. Phoebe was still working at the mall boutique, occasionally posting cryptic messages about how some people have to work for a living and not everyone has inherited wealth. The irony was almost palpable. Her book had indeed died a quiet death, but she'd started a new venture, an Etsy shop selling empowering, hand-painted rocks. Then came the letter. Not from Arthur, not from my family. From Chloe. Mailed to my address, small, painstakingly written, slightly smudged. Dear Auntie Eleanor, I miss you. And Leo misses you. My mom and dad are fighting a lot. Can we see you? Love, Chloe. It broke my heart and simultaneously filled me with fierce resolve. These children were innocent. They deserved a stable, loving adult in their lives who wasn't actively manipulating them. I called Arthur. I want to pursue supervised visitation, I told him, my voice firm. Just for Chloe and Leo. No Joyce, no Phoebe, no Walter involved. Arthur's response was immediate. Excellent. It's a strong case, Eleanor. Given Phoebe's history of using them as emotional weapons and Joyce's blatant disregard for the restraining order, a judge will almost certainly grant it. The legal process was slow and emotionally draining. Phoebe fought it tooth and nail, accusing me of trying to steal her children, twisting every detail into a narrative of my malice. Joyce and Walter backed her up, of course, giving tearful testimonies about my cruelty. But Arthur had meticulously compiled all my evidence: the EIS, the harassment warnings, the social media posts, the GoFundMe attempts, the transcripts of my parents' phone calls, even the footage from my security cameras. The children's voices, too, were heard through a court-appointed child advocate, and their simple desire to see their aunt without drama was clear. The day the judge ruled was a blur of legal jargon. But the outcome was crystal clear. I was granted supervised visitation with Chloe and Leo, managed by an independent third-party agency. Phoebe and Joyce were explicitly forbidden from being present or interfering in any way. Any violation would result in immediate legal consequences, including the potential for Phoebe to lose parental rights to the children's supervision entirely. The judge also, to my surprise, ordered Phoebe to attend mandatory parenting classes focused on emotional manipulation and co-parenting ethics. The first visitation was awkward, joyful, and heartbreaking all at once. Chloe and Leo were quiet at first, wary, as if expecting to be pulled away at any moment. But soon, the kids in them emerged. We built towering block castles, read stories, and shared snacks. I answered their innocent questions as honestly as I could, focusing on love and respect. Auntie Eleanor doesn't hate your mommy, I explained when Chloe asked. But sometimes, grown-ups need space to learn how to be kind to each other. They seemed to accept that. Over the next few months, our visits became easier, more natural. I saw a spark return to their eyes, a lightness in their laughter. They talked about school, their friends, their dreams. They even started calling me for homework help sometimes, through the visitation center's secured line. I was becoming an anchor for them, a place of unconditional love and stability, free from the emotional gymnastics they were used to. My relationship with my parents and Phoebe, however, remained fractured. The legal order solidified the distance, transforming it from a choice into a mandated reality. I saw them occasionally from afar, at the grocery store or a community event. Joyce looked older, perpetually stressed. Walter seemed smaller, his shoulders permanently slumped. Phoebe's face held a hard, bitter edge. They never approached me, and I never approached them. The payments still flowed, a constant, quiet reminder of the price of their entitlement. One day, Sarah called me. "Eleanor," she said, her voice unusually subdued. "Your father, Walter, he had a heart attack." My breath caught in my throat. Despite everything, he was still my father. The man who had once taught me how to ride a bike, who had helped me with my math homework. The man who had also stood by as my mother and sister systematically chipped away at my self-worth. Is he okay? He's stable now. But it was serious. Joyce is a wreck. Phoebe is making sure everyone knows how hard this is for her.
Sarah paused.
They're at St. Jude's Hospital. Room 402. I spent the next few hours in a haze. Did I go? Did I not? What would it achieve? What if it just opened the door to more manipulation? My partner, James, held me close. "This is your decision, Eleanor. Whatever you choose, I'm with you." I called Arthur. "If I go to the hospital, does it violate anything?"
"No," he said.
"A medical emergency falls under a different category, a especially if you're not there to harass or be harassed. Just be cautious. And if it turns volatile, leave. I drove to the hospital alone. The air was thick with the scent of disinfectant and anxiety. I found room 402. Joyce was sitting by Walter's bedside, her hair disheveled, her face pale. Phoebe was on her phone in the corner, probably live-streaming her anguish. Walter looked fragile, tubes and wires everywhere. Joyce saw me first. Her eyes widened, a flash of her old anger, quickly replaced by something else. Fear. Vulnerability. "Eleanor," she whispered. I walked to the foot of Walter's bed. He opened his eyes, glassy and tired. He saw me and, for a fleeting moment, a flicker of something unreadable crossed his face. Perhaps regret, perhaps surprise. He didn't say anything. Neither did I. Phoebe looked up from her phone, her eyes narrowing. "What are you doing here?" she hissed. "I came to see my father," I said, my voice quiet but firm. Joyce, surprisingly, put a hand on Phoebe's arm. "Phoebe, don't." I stayed for about 10 minutes. I didn't say anything profound. I just watched Walter, who drifted in and out of sleep. I looked at Joyce, at Phoebe, and saw not the monsters of my past, but two women consumed by their own choices, now facing a very real, very human crisis. The anger I once felt was muted, replaced by a quiet, almost sad resignation. It wasn't pity, not exactly. It was more like observing a natural consequence playing out, painful for everyone involved, including me. As I turned to leave, Joyce's voice, raspy and small, stopped me. "Eleanor, the payments. We don't know how we're going to manage now." With Walter, my heart hardened. The old patterns. Even in a moment of crisis, it was still about what they could extract from me. "That's something you need to discuss with Arthur," I said, my voice devoid of emotion. "My role here is simply as his daughter." I walked out before she could say another word. I never visited Walter again in the hospital, but I did send flowers. Anonymous. He recovered, slowly. The payments continued, and I heard through Sarah that Joyce had to sell their larger house, downsizing to a modest condo to manage the bills. Walter, post-heart attack, couldn't return to his part-time job. Their retirement was indeed wiped out, but not by me. It was wiped out by years of unchecked spending, entitlement, and the consequences of their own actions. Phoebe's Etsy shop eventually fizzled. She tried various other ventures, always short-lived, always blaming external factors. Chloe and Leo thrived under the supervised visits. I saw them every other weekend, and their laughter filled my house with a different kind of joy, a pure, uncomplicated joy. They started asking to spend holidays with me, and with the child advocate's guidance, we slowly navigated those waters. One Christmas, Chloe, now 10, handed me a carefully wrapped gift. Inside was a small, crudely painted wooden butterfly, remarkably similar to the drawing she'd given me years ago. "It's for your garden," she said, beaming, "to help the real butterflies." That was all the revenge I ever needed. My coding school eventually expanded nationally, offering online courses that reached thousands of girls across the country. I was invited to speak at conferences, to share my story of resilience and self-reliance. I bought a small vacation home upstate, a quiet cabin in the woods where James and I could escape. Life was good, truly good. I still saw Joyce and Walter occasionally, usually at public events, a safe distance always maintained. They were graying, their faces etched with the cumulative weight of their choices.
Sometimes I'd see them with
Phoebe, her face still bearing that hard, bitter edge. There was no grand reconciliation, no tearful apologies, no magical healing of old wounds. I realized that some wounds don't heal, they scar. And those scars remind you where you've been, but they don't dictate where you're going. The last time I saw them, they were at a grocery store checkout line. Joyce was meticulously counting coupons, Walter looking over her shoulder, a weary expression on his face. Phoebe was nowhere in sight. They looked ordinary, reduced, not by my hand, but by the relentless march of consequences. My phone rang as I left the store. It was Arthur. "Eleanor," he said, his voice calm as ever. "I have good news. Your parents have made their final payment. The debt is officially settled. All legal obligations are fulfilled." I leaned against my car, taking a deep breath. It wasn't a triumphant breath, or even a relieved one. It was simply a breath. The end of a very long chapter. "Thank you, Arthur," I said, "for everything." "My pleasure, Eleanor. Remember, the terms of the restraining order still apply indefinitely." "I know." I hung up, then looked at the world around me. The sun was setting, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. People rushed past, living their own lives, oblivious to the quiet closing of a personal war. My car, my sanctuary, my home, my business, my chosen family, Maya, Sarah, James, Chloe, Leo, these were the riches I had truly built. They were real, earned, and unburdened by debt or manipulation. I drove home, the road familiar, the destination welcoming. My garden was in full bloom, the butterfly bush alive with movement. A small wooden butterfly, painted by a child who loved me, hung gently from a branch. Inside, the house was quiet, filled with the warmth of my chosen life. It wasn't just peace anymore. It was freedom thriving. It was a testament to the fact that while you can't choose your family, you can absolutely choose the boundaries that define your life and the peace that ultimately makes it whole. And in the end, building a life that was genuinely mine, one filled with love, purpose, and unshakable boundaries, was the most profound victory of all. So, here's my final question to all of you out there. If you've been through a similar journey, what was the most surprising lesson you learned about family, forgiveness, or simply about yourself? And for those still in the thick of it, what's one boundary you're determined to set this week? Let me know in the comments. Let's keep this conversation going.